Unfortunately, Jimmy Dore used to work here. It's a decision I deeply regret. We try to expand the spectrum of what is acceptable thought.
So Jenk says he deeply regrets hiring Jimmy Dore. That's weird because Jimmy Dore was, you were good friends with Jimmy Dore. You loved Jimmy Dore, but now you don't like him anymore because he criticized the Democratic Party, essentially.
And so corporate media has it easy. They just have to ask, do you believe in the status quo? And people answer that not explicitly, but implicitly through their answers, and then they get hired that way. We hire a wider range of folks, and sometimes it goes wrong. And Jimmy's one of those examples. So, and I found out recently about an incident that happened while he was working here. And now the person that's talking about it is Jimmy.
So Jenk here is talking about the blackmail attempt by Anna Kasparian, where she tried to blackmail him, trying to Me Too him, saying that he sexually harassed her 7 years ago after she flashed him her thong, and he made a joke about it. So they take that incident and try to get Anna to play the victim so she can Me Too him because they don't have an actual argument against him.
So he has been attacking us online over and over again with nothing but lies and smears, some of which I'm going to show you right now. But we still held back, and of course it's frustrating. He was a friend, or at least I thought he was, to me and to a lot of people here. And we've been a little shell-shocked by not the disagreements. Who cares? We had disagreements when he was here. That's not an issue at all. But
So I love this little act by Jank where he says he tries to play the victim and acts like, Jimmy is the instigator here. He's the one who started all this, but that's not actually how it happened because on Twitter, Anna Kasparian was demonizing Jimmy a lot. She was calling him a grifter. She was calling him a liar. She was calling him, disparaging his character in many ways, and Jank never said anything. So Jank, and Jimmy responds. Jimmy was the one who held back because a lot of the times he didn't respond to whatever petty nonsense that Anna Kasparian said, but Jank never said anything. And then Jimmy, when he started criticizing Anna because Anna criticized him first and she kept attacking him, then Jank starts attacking Jimmy. And then, after that it was over. After that, Jimmy just, came out and started swinging because there's no friendship. There's Anna Kasparian is attacking Jimmy. Jimmy isn't doing anything. Jank isn't defending Jimmy, and Jimmy then fights back. He criticizes Anna Kasparian. He doesn't say anything against Jank or even against TYT, against the Young Turks. But he does criticize Anna, and then Jank, that's when he comes to defend her.
by honestly the lies and the smears and the attacks that were deeply personal in nature. So both Anna and I got frustrated, and at one point she sent him a DM that Jimmy's going to talk about in this clip that we're going to show you, and it was basically saying, "Look, we know all these things about you that we haven't shared before," in a way of saying we are holding back while you're going nuts.
Yeah.
Right?
What they're talking about here is FYI. It's blackmail. That's what he's referring to. He's referring to Anna Kasparian blackmailing Jimmy Dore, and then saying that, oh, they were holding back. You know, she DM'd him saying that this is what happened 7 years ago. You quote unquote sexually harassed me because you said that I have a nice new skirt. Apparently, that's sexual harassment, but it's not sexual harassment to flash your coworker, even though you're the boss. They're accusing him of sexual harassment because he's a man and therefore he's a perpetrator automatically. Anna, you were his boss and you flashed him, so you're the one who sexually harassed him, not her, not the other way around. I mean, if Jimmy flashed you and you said nice, whatever, who's the victim in that circumstance. The only reason she's playing victim and she's able to is because of the Me Too movement, because she's a woman. And of course, this is something that, the Johnny Depp trial exposed, is that just because you're a woman doesn't mean you're the victim. And just because, and there are women like Amber Heard who weaponize this. So that's exactly what Anna Kasparian is doing. She DM'd Jimmy Dore in order to, like, it was a blackmail attempt. Shut your mouth, or we're gonna come out and say that you sexually harassed me. This is what's gonna happen. So that's what Jink is talking about. That we know all of these things. Like, dude, he it's a blackmail attempt. You're saying that if Jimmy doesn't shut up, you're gonna come out and you're gonna say that he did this, he did that. That's what it is.
And so, do you have no humanity or decency? And then you're about to find out the answer to that, because this is what he said on air. But before we get to that,
yeah.
yes,
So I want to be clear about something. So the DM that I sent him specifically called him out on his constant sexual harassment of me at this place, at TYT. I also want to be clear that I didn't talk about it with anyone. I never talked about it with Cenk until very recently, because for obvious reasons. And so I sent him that DM because the harassment has continued. It's not sexual harassment, it's been constant harassment online that wouldn't go away. Doesn't matter if I ignore him, which some of my friends, my leftist friends, have told me, just ignore him, it'll go away, just ignore him, ignore him. Kept going and going and going, directing trolls at me nonstop. And finally I couldn't take it anymore. So I sent him that message saying, you remember what you did to me.
Okay, so this is hilarious, right? So let's break down what she said. She said that Jimmy Dore was constantly harassing her, right? She names one incident that happened 7 years ago, and she tries to use that as proof that he constantly harassed her. So one incident 7 years ago is not constant harassment. Constant harassment is like every day, every month, every week. That's constant harassment. One incident 7 years ago, that's not constant harassment. So, she's so and she's so pathetic. Like, look at how she says that. That she didn't talk about it, but you continue to invite him on your show. And of course, Jimmy didn't even harass her. She was his boss. She had her. She exposed himself to him. He made a joke about it to alleviate the tension, and that's not constant harassment. You're the one who sexually harassed him, actually. But notice how she plays the victim here, right? And then she says that, oh, Jimmy, the reason I'm bringing this up, the reason I sent him the DM is because Jimmy's been constantly harassing me over Twitter. You mean he's been calling you out? Like, what do you mean constantly harassing you over Twitter? He's been calling out your nonsense takes. That's what he's done. He hasn't, I mean, she's trying to play victim and say, oh, she's being harassed because of that. Okay, so we could say the same thing on the opposite end. Why have you been harassing Jimmy Dore? You've been attacking Jimmy Dore, calling him a grifter. And by the way, you started it first. And that's important to be clear about that. Jimmy didn't quote unquote harass Anna first. Anna is the one who started attacking Jimmy Dore first. And we could use her language that, oh, why are you harassing Jimmy Dore? Why are you harassing him? The constant harassment that poor Jimmy has to deal with. But of course, when Jimmy criticizes her, Jimmy fights back against her smears. Oh, then he's constantly harassing her. She's a victim.
Yeah.
And I can't stand that he positions himself as this moral fighter for progressive values when he and I both know the kind of behavior he engaged in when he was working here. So I wanted to give you that context.
So
It's important to translate that, right? Anna Kasparian is mad that Jimmy is stealing her thunder, stealing TYT's thunder, because he's a competitor against TYT ever since he left, and even to an extent before that, right? Um, At the end of the day, the Young Turks want to label themselves and their brand as the definitive progressives. They're the definitive progressives, and anyone who goes against their agenda or their ideology isn't progressive. And this is why they try to smear people like Jimmy or anyone who disagrees with them, who don't agree with some of their opinions. They try to, you know, Jake Uger, the union buster, tries to say that, oh, this person is a right winger. He loves using that word because in this context, what he's trying to say is that we are the real progressives, and people who don't agree with us, they're not really progressives. So Anna Kasparian can't stand that because Jimmy Dore does have legitimacy with the left, especially with the more left wing leftists, less corporatist leftists. He has a lot of legitimacy there. People listen to him. People respect his opinion, and that's what they can't stand. They don't like that because he's competing with them and he's undermining them.